general manager that exact question. And the first thing he said was,
and baffled.
Right, essay.
No, he's not. He's very wrong. And he's wrong with his depiction of what people were saying.
So, like the saying goes, a hit dog will holler. And that's exactly what happened when Stephen A. Smith called out Draymond Green live on ESPN First Take. Here's the context. Draymond Green had been speaking on his podcast, criticizing the media for having a double standard when it came to Nico Harrison and the trading of Luka Dončić. A lot of you probably remember how intense things got when that trade went down. Nico Harrison was facing tons of backlash, including death threats, and the media was relentless. ESPN, among others, was heavily slandering him, and fans were furious. Draymond's point was that the media treated Nico differently than others in similar situations, and apparently Stephen A. Smith took that personally and decided to address him directly on live TV. It was one of those moments where you could literally see the hit dog holler effect in action.
the Mavericks general manager that exact question. And the first thing he said was defense wins championships, talking about bringing in Anthony Davis as that defensive anchor, to upgrade on that end of the floor. Says he believes they're built to win now and in the future. But look, they're not just doing this to upgrade the defense. This was about the Mavericks betting against Luka Dončić being able to fulfill his potential. There has been extreme frustration building in that franchise over the years, and especially this season, about his lack of commitment to conditioning, to diet, to the lifestyle that's necessary at this point to be available on a consistent basis. When he went out with that calf strain on Christmas, there wasn't sympathy within the Mavericks organization. There was frustration, even anger. They felt like he hasn't done the things to position himself to again, fulfill his potential and be available. And they were terrified of making a supermax $350 million commitment to him this summer. They felt like they needed to get out in front of that. And so they called the Lakers, and this deal came together.
So the situation got even messier, with people dragging LeBron James into it, saying he knew that his boy Anthony Davis was getting traded and calling him a snake. The media and fans were going in hard at that time. Fast forward to now, Draymond Green weighed in, pointing out that the situation in Los Angeles with the Lakers is looking similar to what Luka Dončić went through in Dallas. Draymond specifically called out the media, defending Nico Harrison and saying they unfairly crushed him for no reason. Here's the clip of Draymond speaking out, and if you can, smash that thumbs up on this video. It really helps support the channel, and I appreciate it.
And baffled to see Luka Dončić traded away from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, you just don't see franchise players that young traded. You just don't see it. It's just not a normal thing. And so we were all shocked by that. And Nico Harrison continued to give his reasonings on why he believed that was the right thing to do for the Dallas Mavericks organization. Was it the right thing or wrong thing? I'm not a Dallas Maverick. I don't really care if it was the right thing or the wrong thing. But what I do care about is so many people crushed Nico Harrison for the reasons that he gave. And when Nico gave those reasonings, everybody said he's ridiculous, he's crazy. This has nothing to do with Luka, by the way, what I'm saying. But now when I turn on the TV, all I see is everybody in the media who crushed Nico Harrison, who essentially aided in him getting fired, regurgitating the same things that Nico Harrison was saying. And I struggle with that because I haven't seen one person come out and say, hey, Nico, I'm sorry for the things I said about you when you made that move. Because I just said the same thing out of my mouth. I struggle with that a bit. Again, this has nothing to do with Luka Dončić and everything to do with the media and Nico Harrison. Nico gave his reasonings as the general manager of a team of why he thought that was the right move. And everybody said, you're a fucking idiot, you should be fired. Worst general manager in NBA history. And now all of you people are saying the same thing. But no one has said, maybe Nico was right. Maybe Nico was validated in the move he made. Maybe Nico shouldn't have been fighting. No one has said that. But everybody said Nico should be fired because he traded Luka. I struggle with this. I struggle with the lack of a...
So that's exactly what Draymond Green was saying. He was defending Nico Harrison, pointing out how the media flipped the narrative. Back when Nico was in Dallas, the media was going hard on him. But now that he's in LA, they're basically repeating the same points he made about Luka Dončić back then. Of course, Stephen A. Smith had to respond to Draymond on ESPN First Take, so let's check out what he had to say in reply.
Right, SA.
No, he's not. He's very wrong, and he's wrong with his depiction of what people were saying. I think that in this particular instance, Draymond Green is being incredibly unfair. As a person that has his podcast, that's a member of the quote-unquote new media, a phrase he's coined, listen, you're allowed to deduce what you see and come to a conclusion and spew your point of view. That's what he does. This man has a full-time job, getting paid an exorbitant amount of money, deserves every penny. He's a four-time champion, a former Defensive Player of the Year, who will be a Hall of Famer. He has the credentials to say what he says, but in the same breath, be fair about it. The reality of the situation is that Draymond is saying that because he's fond of Nico Harrison. Well, I got news for you. A lot of us are fond of Nico Harrison. Nico Harrison is a great guy. Vinny, Wendy, I know you guys have met him. You guys have spoken to him. Who dislikes Nico Harrison? Who has a negative thing to say about Nico Harrison, the person, or anything like that? Who had a negative thing to say about him prior to the trade? Nobody. He had helped lead the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals and made some deals that were, the Kyrie Irving deal, the PJ Washington, a Daniel Gafford. He did a lot of good moves. I mean, this understandably so. But the Luka Dončić thing stands out. And Draymond Green should know better in terms of when you're talking about highlighting what transpired. The man is unemployed now. Why do you think that is? You think it is an accident? You think there's no correlation? The fact of the matter is that Luka Dončić, for all of his flaws, was a 25-year-old basketball global iconic figure. He wasn't just a great basketball player on the court, he was good for business because of his global appeal. And you let that go. And how do you let it go? It wasn't just that you traded Luka Dončić. You traded him for a dude that was almost 6 years older, that was just as, if not more, injury prone. And by the way, when he arrived, he had a great game, a great half his opening game, and then obviously got injured. That was the concern. And the real issue, the egregious part about it, which Draymond again should know, and he should know from personal experience, because before the trading deadline, when it was a possibility that he was going to be traded, what did the Golden State Warriors, led under Joe Lacob and Steve Kerr and these boys, actually do? They put feelers out there to see what level of marketability he would generate. That is not what Nico Harrison did. Nico Harrison got on the phone with one dude, which was, Rob Pelinka and the Los Angeles Lakers. And this guy, in an era where we saw a whole bunch of picks received for Kevin Durant by Phoenix, we saw Orlando give up picks for Desmond Bane. We saw 5 first-round picks given up for Mikal Bridges. You had Anthony Davis and Max Christie and a pick to show for Luka Dončić. That was the crime, that you didn't put him on the market and literally see what you could get for him. And I'll end by saying this, guys. If Luka Dončić had been put on the open market by Nico Harrison, can we even sit here and imagine the assets that would have been offered for him? Think about that for a second. That's the issue. And so knowing that and just throwing it at the media and talking about people were talking about him and he's terrible. No, the deal, in hindsight, appears to be a very terrible deal, but the Mavericks lucked up because they got the #1 pick with the ping pong balls, which was Cooper Flagg. That is what happened. But in the end, there's no regrets here. I can take no joy out of saying anything. It wasn't me that was talking about him that way, by the way. but others who have. I didn't see anybody that hated on Nico Harrison as a person, as an executive, or the job that he did in Dallas overall. They were talking about this one deal, which was egregious and will forever stain him. So much so, it is highly unlikely he will ever get a job as a basketball executive in the NBA again because of this one deal. That's how bad it appears to be. Draymond knows that. He has to know that. So to label it any differently,
So that's where things stand, folks. Stephen A. Smith weighed in on ESPN First Take. Draymond Green called out the media defending Nico Harrison. And now the question is, do you think Draymond is right? Should the media apologize to Nico after how badly they treated him in Dallas, from death threats to public shaming, only to now repeat the same criticisms he made back then? I'd love to hear what you think, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video. Catch you guys later.